I used to trust market data and took it for granted. But working in crypto taught me that you have to question every single thing. Where is this data coming from? Can I trust the source? How is this calculated? Today, I'd like to talk to you about 3 key challenges we are facing as a data provider in the crypto industry. The last couple of years have been fascinating. We saw a massive explosion of digital assets. And I wanted to bring you a chart that captures this explosion. You will see the evolution and adoption of digital assets week by week from 2013. On the x-axis, you will see a coin being listed on exchanges, so the number of exchanges. On the y-axis, you will see the number of trading pairs a coin is trading on. There are color codes as well for the different generations of coins, and Bitcoin and Ethereum with different colors. So let's watch. First, there was Bitcoin. Then came Litecoin and the first generation altcoins. Then came Ethereum, red dot in the middle. And it enabled the explosion of ERC20 tokens in 2017 to 18. Fascinating, right? What does this mean for us as a data company? Well, it means a massive explosion in the data set, but also in the complexity of it. So let me tell you the 3 key challenges that we are facing, and then I will break it down and tell you about how we are dealing with them one by one. First, data is a mess. Second, data is big and complex. And third, and maybe you're the most interested in this, data is fake. Let's start with the first one. Data is a mess. Working in a decentralized ecosystem is super exciting. But decentralized for a data company means that there's a lack of naming convention and lack of standards. So we had to start working very hard to standardize our data set. Every exchange has their own naming convention and lists their own coins in different names. And every coin or project can just name themselves whatever they want to name themselves. So we started mapping coins on exchanges to our internal ticker ID. And we decided last month that we make this data set available, and you can freely access it via our API. So as a data company, we are not only collecting and cleaning data, but we are aggregating it as well. We take all the trades from all exchanges from a certain pair and calculate a single price index. In this chart, you see Bitcoin USD trades for a week-long period in 2015. Every yellow pixel is a trade. And we have to take all this data and calculate the price for Bitcoin. What you can notice is that back then, there was a clear line showing a path for the Bitcoin price. So our methodologies used to be fairly simple. You see some outliers, but still, the complexity was not that bad. And then came the big boom of the data set. And with that, we had to review our methodologies for aggregation as well. This is how Bitcoin trades look like as of last week. On this image, you can see 1.5 million trades. And what you can notice right away is that there is no clear path. There's rather a big lane. So my question is, what's the real price of Bitcoin in this case? So we had to look into the data and start becoming more selective, because not all data points are made equal. We started to look at every exchange, review them on a monthly basis, and set up criteria for being eligible for aggregation. And we are doing this on a monthly basis, publishing it in our exchange review to make this process completely transparent for you. So one of the reasons also why our data set has grown so much is because data is free. You might think that, OK, this is a great deal for you as data consumers because data is available for free. But free here also means that anyone is free to become a data source. Any exchange with an API can become a data provider. And it's a problem, because it leads to our next big challenge, which is the biggest challenge for the data community: fake data. You might have heard recently that X% of all trading volume in crypto is fake. I want to take a step back and really dig into this question. Where is this coming from, and how we even got here? It happened that crypto data evolves around top lists and rankings. And these top lists and rankings usually use volume as their ranking metric. Why? Because volume is easy to understand and easy to calculate. But unfortunately, it has been used as a proxy for liquidity, and also, in some cases, a proxy for quality and popularity. But volume is complex. You need to look deeper. Look at fee structures of exchanges. Some exchanges might reward their liquidity providers. Some exchanges might be expensive. That clearly affects their volume. And if you remember, a couple of years ago, there were exchanges with 0 fees. And back then, these exchanges covered 90% of the total volume. Some exchanges might use trading incentives to boost their volumes. In this chart, you can see the green dotted exchanges using trading competition or transfer mining to boost their volumes. They're all in the very high end of the volume scale. So what we have seen happening is that people started losing their trust in these rankings. People started questioning the validity of volume. They started looking for better metrics. There are some projects out there that started looking at trading patterns, trading behavior. So if you plot trade sizes in a histogram, you might think that, OK, the chart in the middle is the one you might expect from a good exchange, a normal exchange. What it shows is that a trader is more likely to trade with lower amounts and less likely to trade with bigger amounts with some spikes around full values like 1 Bitcoin or 2 Bitcoin. And if an exchange has different histograms, then it's a bad behavior. But guess what? Trading patterns change. This is an exchange with anomalous trading behavior from March, and look what happens until April. This is March. This is April. So we wanted to understand what people really need. And I think the real problem here is that there's a system where we rank everything using volume, but that metric doesn't work anymore, and people lost their trust in the data. And we, as a data provider company, we thought that's our duty to bring this trust back. So we started thinking, what can we do to bring back the trust? How can we know which are the trustful data sources? And while doing this research, we ended up having an exchange benchmarking framework. And today, I'd like to present this framework to you. Hopefully, it will prove as a useful tool for you to decide where to trade, which are the best exchanges, which are the trustful data sources. So our methodology consists of 7 components. And I'd like to highlight that out of 7 components, we have 6 which are based on due diligence metrics. I will go into the details soon. And only 30% of the total score that we assign to each exchange consists of market data, such as trades and order book. We wanted to do this because we wanted to have a framework where the metrics are hard to game. We look at the location of the exchange and its regulatory environment. We look at if an exchange is licensed or conducts KYC AML. We look at investments and funding structure. We look at the team and company structure. We conduct API tests, trade surveillance check. And for market quality, we introduce 5 metrics. For market cost of trading, we calculate spread. For liquidity, we calculate depth. For stability, we calculate minute volatility. We created this new metric, correlation between volume and volatility, to differentiate between investor-led markets and maker-led markets. And we look at standard deviation of trading volume to penalize for trading behaviors like this. So we came up with a top list. And as we speak, our full methodology has been released. And I encourage you to read it and happy to get your feedback on it. What happens is we assign a component score for every exchange. Then we sum them up into a total score. After that, every exchange gets a letter grade based on their overall relative ranking. The grades go from AA to F. OK, our goal was not only to create a ranking, but to introduce a new notion, trusted volumes. Instead of looking for fake volumes, we wanted to look for trusted sources where we can trust the numbers. So how can you use this framework? Let's say you are an investor. First, you need to identify your risk appetite. If you are a low-risk investor, and you can only consider exchanges in your market size, which are best graded, let's say AA, then your market size is only 3% of the total reported market. If your risk appetite is higher, then your market size is bigger, but it comes at a risk. To test the robustness of our framework, we plotted our ranking scores against volume. And note that we didn't use volume directly in our ranking. What you can see is there's a correlation between volume and ranking. So naturally, you are expecting that better exchanges actually do more volume. But it also highlights a few exchanges that usually top the volume rankings, but they show anomalous behavior because their rankings are not that high. We also separated our market quality score and our due diligence score, and they correlate as well. It means that potentially, when you do due diligence on an exchange, you can infer the quality of the market as well. I am running out of time, so I'm going to skip these 2 slides. I'm sorry. An interesting stat on the score. So top locations with the best exchanges: US, South Korea, Japan, UK, Hong Kong. You can read the full report offline. So in the last 2 years, we have seen that lower-rated exchanges gained market share in terms of reported volumes. And we wanted to create a tool that helps overcome the bias based on volume rankings. We hope that this benchmark framework will help investors and traders identify the best venues, but also gain back the trust in the data. And at CryptoCompare, we believe that data should serve transparency, and we need to work hard to make this happen again. Thank you.